Just hear me. Are you able to hear me now? If you can hear me, just let me know so that I can be able to proceed. Just can you confirm if you can hear me? Let me try now. So I believe there's some hello, greetings. Can you hear me now? I had some technical issues, so I went off. But can you confirm if you can hear me? Uh, just comment if you can hear me so that I can proceed. For those who are joining now, we are live on United States of Africa, and we are celebrating a milestone of reaching 400,000 followers. So I've been able to confirm that you can hear me. And today is a very important day. We are celebrating 400,000 followers. When I was starting this project in 2016, I had no idea that in 2021 we're going to be celebrating 400 followers. And this demonstrates the resilience of the African people and the desire for Africans at home and abroad to see a unified Africa. And the only way that we can see a powerful Africa is if we understand the power and the spirit of collaboration, working together towards self-improvement. And this has been the message of United States of Africa since we began. Another message for United States of Africa has been to reject all forms of division within the African continent. There are so many splits among African continent with some claiming that they are fighting for independence. And these kind of divisions are the ones that are ruining the Pan-Africanism spirit. And we need to speak with one voice when it comes to African unity, when it comes to common problems that are facing African countries. There's need for us Africans at home and abroad to speak with one voice and begin organizing towards providing solutions to many challenges that people of African descent are facing. The African continent, in spite of being very rich, is actually the poorest because we have let foreign companies to continue exploiting the natural resources of Africa at our expense. And we actually auction our own resources. So it comes as no surprise. We prefer to trade in raw materials instead of taking ownership of our natural resources, adding value to them, establishing industries so that we can get higher value for what we produce. The United States of Africa established Technology and Innovations Department to bring together African developers to work towards creating technological solutions to problems that Africa is facing. Just recently, Facebook went down, and Africans were wondering which African platform they'd go to. In spite of several attempts, there is no authoritative African platform which can be an alternative, just in case Facebook goes down again, just because just in case Instagram goes down. We don't have any other option. We have to wait until they're up again. So there's need for Africans to invent alternative solutions that the world can run to. In case the leading social media sites go down. So it's important for Africans to value the spirit of collaboration, to understand how Pan-Africanism can be a great catalyst for Africa's economic development. If we understand how Pan-Africanism works, if we understand how to collaborate, we won't find it difficult to volunteer for continental causes, for projects that will uplift the African people collectively. The technology department has a project of that nature. I'm not going to talk much about what we are doing, but certainly it's a good project that we are working on. And I encourage African developers to join the United States of Africa Technology and Innovation Department so that you can contribute your fair share towards the Africa's journey to rapid technological advancement. We need to build our own communication infrastructure. We need to have our own technology and ensure that Africa attains its technological sovereignty. We depend so much on the West, such that if the West crashes, then Africa crashes with it. And this comes as a result of the post-colonial dependency. Africa never gained its economic independence, and after the independence, it is heavily depending on foreign external factors for its own needs, to take care of its communication, to take care of its security. There are hardly any African countries that are manufacturing their own weapons. We depend on the same former colonizers to sell weapons to us. Kenya is saying, I'm raising $1 billion to build a telco-owned. So you're doing something operated by Africans through the diaspora. Thank you very much. These are the kind of projects that we need to see. You say, I used to build software companies in Silicon Valley. And then Adani is saying we must keep our own sovereignty proud without the involvement of the United States of America, Europe. Africa is great in everything. And then we have Vanessa saying divided to be love, peace, united to be hatred, jealousy, and weakness. And then yes, I can hear you. Thank you for confirming. Love you all so much. And then I'm gathering generals. And then you're saying, Daniel, you're saying, so I have a namesake here. Yes, you're a very audible leader. How can I become part of the project? If you want to become to get involved in the United States of Africa project, you can reach out to us at info at usafricagov.com, and we'll be able to get involved in the United States of Africa project. You can contribute depending on your skills and expertise. You can also volunteer in many ways to support the United States of Africa vision. You can also enroll on Patreon so that you can support what we are doing. We have several programs that we are running. They are actually monthly running costs for United States of Africa. And once again, I appreciate those who are supporting us on Patreon, because of that support, we are able to be live on this stream. And I'd like to appreciate everyone who has been supporting the United States of Africa. Tuna Cheki have been very instrumental in supporting the United States of Africa. And we appreciate their support all the way. So to get involved in the United States of Africa, it begins by change of mindset, embracing the Pan-Africanism principles, and appreciating the need for Africans to work together. There's so many problems that Africa is facing, and if you go from one country to another, you'll see that there are common problems that Africans are facing. And the only way to ensure that we begin to come up with solutions is to begin to collaborate, to work together to come up with solutions, whether it is in healthcare, whether it is in education, whether it is in security, ensuring that Africa has all the infrastructure it needs to experience rapid economic development. This is the vision and the mission of the United States of Africa, and we are very much willing to work with any African government, any Caribbean state government, any Pacific government that has the interests of the people at heart, because the goal of the United States of Africa is to unify the African states and to bring together people of African descent, whether they're in Africa, in the Caribbean, in the Pacific, in Europe, in Latin America. The goal of the United States of Africa is to bring together people of African descent, and to be a voice for people of African descent. United States of Africa advocates for the rights of people of African descent. And we begin to call on the African Union, to call on ECOWAS, to call on the United Nations to respond to the cries of the indigenous people in West Papua who have been under brutal Indonesian occupation for more than 58 years. And every day, West Papuans are being brutally murdered by the Indonesian military. And this has been going on for the last 58 years. The United Nations human rights only speaks about perceived human rights violation in Africa, but it does not speak about the systematic human rights violations against the indigenous people in West Papua. United Nations knows that there is an unfinished decolonization process in West Papua, but has not taken any action to take the plight of the indigenous people in West Papua seriously. And we urge those who are in charge of the leadership at the United Nations Human Rights Council to either respond to the plight of the indigenous people in West Papua or step aside so that more able people can occupy the position of the UN Human Rights Chief, and they can be able to advocate for the rights of the indigenous Black people in West Papua. So many people are dying. We have a humanitarian crisis in West Papua. Many Papuan women and children living in the forest without food, without shelter, without clothing, without security, because the Indonesian military continues to bomb displaced West Papuan families, even in the forest. And this is what United States of Africa wants to put to an end. We want to put to an end the ongoing colonial occupation in West Papua. And this is something that we are determined to do by all means necessary. We want to encourage the West Papuan freedom fighters to continue fighting for their independence. And we also encourage the human rights advocates, West Papuan activists, to continue the struggle for independence, because Africa was there. We struggled for independence. There was an armed struggle. There are so many groups that were lobbying for Africa's independence. And through those means, we are able to attain independence. And West Papua can do it too. I believe that there is need for Papua New Guinea to play a much bigger role in the decolonization process of West Papua. There is also need for Vanuatu to get more support from Pacific countries and also African countries in the decolonization struggle for West Papua, so that we can no longer see indigenous people being brutally murdered on a daily basis, so that we can put to an end the ongoing atrocities Indonesia is committing against the indigenous people in West Papua. This has been my mission since I started in 2017, to ensure that the indigenous people get the independence. And I continue to champion other Pan-Africanists, to encourage other Pan-African organizations to solidify the support for indigenous people in West Papua. They need our support. These are brothers and sisters being brutally murdered by Indonesian military just because of the color of their skin, just because they are Black like Africans. That's the reason why the Indonesians continue to discriminate them. They continue to brutally massacre them. They continue to target the freedom fighters to eliminate them, so that the struggle for independence does not continue. that in spite of what they've been doing, the struggle for independence in West Papua has continued to gain momentum. We are seeing the indigenous people in West Papua strongly resist the Indonesian colonial occupation, and we are seeing more indigenous people coming out and saying they've had enough from Indonesia. They are saying that they no longer want the extension of the so-called autonomy, which does not even guarantee their basic human rights, the right to life, the right to freely protest. And these are the rights that we are demanding that they be restored to the indigenous people in West Papua. And the United States of Africa will continue to champion for the rights of the indigenous people in West Papua until the United Nations begins to take this issue seriously, until the United States begins to take the humanitarian catastrophe in West Papua seriously, until the European Union begins to take the plight of the indigenous people in West Papua seriously. We are not going to stop, and we are going to continue to advocate for the rights of the indigenous people in West Papua. Because we believe that people of African descent deserve equal respect and dignity, and we believe that we Africans deserve the right to self-determination, and so the indigenous people in West Papua. They cannot be denied the independence just because they're black, just because they are of black descent. And we strongly condemn the systematic human rights abuses by the Indonesian security forces. We strongly condemn the systematic human rights violation of Papuan women who are daily raped by Indonesian military. We strongly condemn the Indonesian approach of arresting children, detaining innocent children, and we demand that this comes to an end. I believe that the world is watching what Indonesia is doing, and the so-called International Criminal Court has been so silent on the black genocide in West Papua. If there is no functional leadership at the International Criminal Court, I believe it's about time that it be dissolved, so that another structure can be established that is more efficient when it comes to ensuring that there is no black genocide going on, and such a big organization is just silent. They only talk when African dictators are brought to court. But when it is about black genocide, the International Criminal Court has been silent. And this is quite disturbing, because this is an organization that is supposed to be the first one at the ground to investigate the black genocide in West Papua. Since 1963, more than 500,000 indigenous black West Papuans have died. But in spite of this, the International Criminal Court has been silent. They have not uttered any word about speaking about the genocide in West Papua. And this is what I call Western hypocrisy when it comes to human rights, when it comes to the definitions of genocide. When black people die, they don't see it as a genocide. And this has to change. We demand equal respect and dignity for people of African descent. The United States of Africa urges people of African descent within Africa, in the diaspora, the Caribbean, in Europe, Latin America, in Asia, and all over the world to come together and be part of the United States of Africa, so that we can begin to tackle the challenges that we are facing. Because whether we are in Brazil, whether we are in Lagos, whether we are in London, we are facing the same problems just because of the color of the skin. And this is the time to unify. and work towards the realization of a unified, prosperous Africa, a new Africa that is driven by the African people, for Africans at home and abroad. And I believe that if we come together, we are going to realize the new Africa that they've been talking about in Agenda 2063. West New Guinea is saying, God bless Africa, West Papua, we are one. Yosias, you're saying, thank you, brother, from West Papua, indigenous people. Thank you very much for joining this stream. And we will continue to support the liberation of West Papua. We'll continue to encourage the indigenous people in West Papua to exercise the right to self-determination, and for them to openly speak about their plight. We are going to continue providing them with a platform so that they can share their experiences, and we can continue to highlight what is happening in West Papua. Thank you very much for joining, and enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good morning, have a good evening, depending on your time zone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for tuning in to United States of Africa. Yes, someone is saying we need a Pan-African passport. Certainly, we definitely need that, but we have to begin by laying down the basic foundations that will make that possible. And once again, I'd like to appreciate those who are supporting United States of Africa, whether you're following, whether you're sharing posts, whether you're supporting us on Patreon, whether you are the ambassador of United States of Africa, spreading the Pan-African message, whether you are volunteering at United States of Africa, we recognize and appreciate your efforts. And thank you for tuning in to United States of Africa. See you again sometime soon.